We'll do something with it. It's gotta be in the background, but that's kind of a precarious spot for it to be. So we are back with Pure Flix. And I know that there were a lot of Pure Flix movies that you guys wanted me to cover. You wanted me to keep going with the God's Not Dead series, Audacity, Holy Man Undercover, which Allie Hills did really well. So I'm not saying I don't want to talk about Holy Man Undercover. I'm just saying it's been covered. But no, one movie alone has been calling out to me since I realized that Pure Flix was a thing. Because it seems so outlandish that I could not believe that a Christian entertainment company conceived it. We're talking about Jerusalem Countdown, the action spectacular starring, I'll let you take a moment to guess, David A.R. White, who also adapted the story, who also produced it. One-man marvel he is. See, this is actually based on a book written by televangelist, always televangelist, John Hagee, who's been called out and criticized for a lot of his beliefs and the overall xenophobia that ends up being displayed. And so this is how we get to the kids with action-based Christian literature. And it's horrible. There's really no way around this, but it's so bad. It's terribly acted. The story's nonsensical. And if these two FBI agents are any indication of what the FBI is actually like, we're all doomed. So yeah, if you couldn't already tell, David A.R. White hits the scene as an FBI agent. It starts with people comically screaming, trucks crashing into things, everyone just kind of running around like this. There's helicopter disaster, clothing flying through the sky, an entire hoopla. But it's okay because before we can dwell on this, it cuts to 6 days earlier in Chicago, Illinois.
제시카 외동딸 일리노이 시카고. So some
guys on a boat taking out suitcases that were hidden, they hand them off to these dudes who then kill them. Guys, I think we've got our baddies. And it cuts to a TV playing a news segment talking about rogue countries developing nuclear weapons with the intention of taking out Israel. It's all basically detailing the peace talks that they were having, and we realize that we're inside Malibu Dan's house. So David here, who has the name Daughtry in this movie, gets some files from Pal because he figures there has to be some kind of leak in the communication department of the FBI. And not long after this, Malibu Dan gets a call from an informant that says he needs to talk to him about the 7 wonders. It immediately cuts to this guy tinkering with some stuff who gets a call, and the person on the other end is using a voice changer. And the two end up talking about the 7 wonders, and our main dude is basically like, we're just waiting from the Decalogue from Mother. So Family Man Dan visits the informant, who turns out to be a smuggler, who thinks he's imported some kind of distraction, but when you find out what he imported, using the term distraction for it is very insulting. But before he can even explain what the 7 wonders are, some guy busts in, immediately shoots the informant multiple times, and then they parkour out some windows. Because David A.R. White has to prove his versatility. He's more than a preacher. He's more than Malibu Dan. He's an action hero too. And just so you know it's an action movie, the way that he catches this guy is by shooting some oil barrels to blow them up. And thankfully this guy just ends up knocked out, not horrifically maimed or burned. It cuts us back to Chicago, where we get another non-believing journalist, which just seems to be one of their favorite things to use. And he's working on articles about the peace talks, and his wife is trying to get him to read the Bible as research. She's like, "Sweetie, I've marked you off a couple passages for your research." The two obviously get in a fight because he's like, "Do you actually believe in Noah's Ark?" And she's like, "Yeah, but you can swim, so don't even be worried." So it cuts to our other main protagonist, this female FBI agent who meets up with this older CIA dude, and they both essentially know who the mole is in the operation. It's that Decalogue guy from earlier. Anyways, when this female FBI lady goes to leave, someone stops her and is all like, "Look, I get that you're doing important research, but have you paid attention to the peace talks? Because biblical prophecies are coming true. So if you don't realize that Jesus is your only way to salvation, it's all over for you." And I actually recognize this guy quite distinctly as the head of the neo-Nazi group in American History X.
You don't have to watch your ass around here.
This is a switch up. So the dude he blew up is just rattling things off from the Book of Revelations while he's sitting in this interrogation room. So Pastor Dave gets in there and starts asking him about the 7 wonders. And this dude starts mentioning things about the revolution of God, even though he probably shouldn't be saying anything and is trained not to say anything. And when Malibu Dan goes to open a file folder, this man slams his head down on a metal desk, manages to get his gun, and totally would have laid his ass out because for some reason they didn't have have this highly dangerous fugitive attached to the table because holy shit, Dan, you were a horrible FBI agent. But luckily, Smile Lady is here to save the day. So these two clearly have some tension. There is a lady walking her dog looking at me through the window. That's right, keep walking. So it cuts back to the journalist dude who just happens to live across the street from the guys who smuggled stuff off the boats. Cause I always unload my stolen goods and munitions boxes in the suburbs. So it cuts to the loving couple at a Russian restaurant, where this restaurateur slash chef is also super in the know informant, and he knows all about the Seven Wonders, because that makes any... So what they are is essentially that Russia has managed to make single-person detonation nuclear weapons, and they've teamed up with Iran. And they would be used on American soil, so America would be distracted and couldn't protect Israel from, like, an incoming attack. So these Seven Wonders are backpack nukes. Backpack-sized nuclear weapons. That's what was inside the suitcases. And before you can even dwell on how stupid this is and how, like, really nonchalant they're being and not pushing this forward, like, hey, there might be 7 nuclear weapons in the country, we get hit with Eve explaining that the CIA has been studying biblical prophecies like the Ezekiel war scenario. So Eve's dad, who's apparently like an ex-FBI head or ex-CIA head, one of the two, whatever, I don't care enough to remember. He somehow knows that this assassin has a sister. So Eve goes to find her, and she's dead. And then they're almost instantly attacked by that leak rogue CIA agent who is shockingly spry for his age. But also, you guys didn't clear the apartment? How was that not the first thing you did when you got in there? That is policing 101. How shit are you at your jobs as FBI agents? This is just insulting. Like, we're supposed to be rooting for these people as, like, you know, stopping an end time situation, but they're so dumb that they're hard to sympathize with. And the terrorists aren't any better because they're unloading their nukes in the Chicago suburbs. So it cuts back to the journalist arguing with his wife about faith and how she's just never been a better person, because obviously if you become a Christian, you just become a better person, but he can't get on board with the faith. And then we get this amazing exchange.
Do you even believe that Jesus existed?
Of course, there's overwhelming evidence. Billions of people celebrate Christmas and Easter every year, I get that.
There's evidence of Jesus existing as a person. I don't think Christmas is one of those things. Holy shit, this really is just propaganda for fundamentalists. Like, does anybody think that people who read this that aren't Christian are suddenly going to be like, oh my God. Like, I don't imagine a world where this could effectively convert anybody to Christianity. But at this point, Eve starts theorizing that, hey, maybe we're supposed to lose. Maybe that's God's plan. I don't want to know the God whose plan is to let 7 backpack-sized nuclear weapons be detonated across the continental United States. So they head back to interview the CIA dude who explains that the double agent specializes in destabilizing governments and is likely part of this Revolution of God group that's comprised of high-ranking world leaders that want a new world order. Then we're back with Cameron Alexander, who explains that the CIA has been researching the rapture. You know, like the people just spontaneously disappearing and all the heathens being left behind. And Dean, the leak, was one of the people investigating this as a possibility, so they'd have a contingency plan if, like, people just disappeared. So now they decide they need to do some research, so they hit up the library. But the library's closed, so they hold this lady here after hours when she probably just wants to go home and enjoy her evening so that they can do research with the Bible and their laptops. Things that you do not need a library for. Like a public library for a terrorist investigation? Are you joking? So they end up getting one of the phone conversations that Dean had about, like, the Decalogue and, you know, waiting for a response from mothers, and they're like, what's the Decalogue? Not like they couldn't just, like, Google it. And librarian's like, don't you kids read the Bible anymore? That's the 10 Commandments. So she gets them a book to look it up, as if they even need that because she has a laptop right in front of her face. So they realize that the nukes are in Chicago. And they end up using chemicals to get answers out of this captured terrorist. And they know that the terrorists are waiting to hear from Russia, that's what Mother is, you know, Mother Russia, as to what to do with the nukes. And when David starts trying to hound this guy for info, he gets his his Batman moment. He gets a, "Where are they?
Where are the bombs? What is ready, friends?"
So they realize that this guy has a plan to kill like the peace talk delegation. They're gonna blow up the plane as they're taking off. So they end up leaving. He's gonna go to Chicago to try to find the bomb. She's gonna try to stop the delegates from getting on the plane. And Dum Dum left the needle on the ground with the fugitive. Stupid Dum Dums. And of course, when the moment is super tense and time is of the essence, these two decide it's a good time to have a kissy kiss. There are backpack nuclear weapons out there. We do not have time for romance. So the rogue agent ends up rigging up a bomb underneath this plane with a BlackBerry, and Eve can't save the day and the delegates get blown up. Maybe if you hadn't stopped to give Malibu Dan some loving, this wouldn't have happened. Also, you could have stopped that plane and kept it grounded with a phone call. You're in the FBI. Like, I get that you tried, but like, there's no reason why they couldn't have prevented any of those people from getting on the plane. So before the feds can even find anything concrete at this point, and they've already taken one major hit because a bunch of delegates just got blown up, is the journalist that figures out a way into the terrorist's house, breaks in, starts taking pictures of all the stuff they have hanging around, and ends up being most terrified, not by the guns and stuff that he's seeing around, but by the Arabic writing on the walls. Like, he was clearly concerned and scared about the other stuff, but he audibly whimpers when he sees the room that just has the Arabic writing on the wall. So at this point, Daughtry's gone to the wrong spot. He's got no idea where these nukes are. Honestly, the only one who knows anything is this journalist who has just stumbled upon his first backpack nuke. And I get that you want a story, but like right around now is when I'd call 911, you stupid dumb idiot. So of course the terrorists next door come home and realize that the door's open. And this dude is breathing like he just ran a marathon to an Outback Steakhouse. But at least he finally calls the cops and like whispers the address in, and they finally alert our shitty hero, Daughtry. And in typical pure Flix fashion, when he's terrified, hoping that the terrorists don't stumble upon him, he gets a text from his wife saying that she's praying for him. Like, what is it with these movies and text messages? So again, the only reason why the FBI know where these nuclear weapons are is because of a chicken shit reporter who got the balls to break into a house, who's now, for some reason, vocally praying to God when the terrorist people are like right around the corner from him, and we're supposed to believe that they can't hear him. So praying to God in a moment of panic is kind of like a comedy movie trope, but when it's pure Flix, they mean it. They managed to stop the terrorists from detonating these bombs in the suburbs. I don't know why that was the backup plan, but either way, save the day. And the journalist guy just runs back across the street to his wife, and he's like, "Will you pray with me?" Fully giving himself to Jesus here for like, I don't know. Like, it's almost insulting that they keep doing this thing that it takes like major traumatic moments for people to just be like, okay, now I believe. So of course the terrorist that was in custody manages to escape an FBI facility with a needle, kills the mole because they failed in their plan. Ooh, and then we realize the CIA guy's been in on it the whole time, but then like, why was he sharing information with them? Like, why does this feel like threat level midnight, but they're trying to be serious?
No, he's doing it to catch the president. No, Dwight, he's just being stupid.
And then things get really weird. So it cuts back to that crazy destruction scene that we saw at the beginning of the movie, and we get a replay of all those crazy accidents and the people running around like shaking their heads and screaming. And it's got some of like the most comical dubbed in screaming ever. And then I suddenly realize it's the rapture. The rapture is actually happening in this movie, as in people getting zapped up like freaking Scotty. So the clothing that was falling from the sky is from people who were just like spontaneously disappearing. I don't know. Like, what is this movie? So it ends with him saying that he's looking for Eve, but like the fact that it just ends on this weird cliffhanger, like, did they think they were getting a sequel? Like, how did this terrorist nuclear war backpack movie turn into a rapture? That's a Shyamalan level shit twist right there. Oh my God, this is horrible. Like, I'm probably making it sound at least somewhat interesting, but this isn't even so bad that it's good, except maybe like those last, I don't know, like 20 minutes, but this is bad. Can we please just take a moment to realize that the FBI actually achieved nothing throughout the entire course of this movie except failing at every single turn? And this entire plan was foiled by a suburban journalist who just happened to be lucky to live across the street from the terrorists? What is this? Oh my God, my head hurts. Okay, so that's Jerusalem Countdown. And again, for me, what it really comes down to is that this is just offensively bad content. It's not that it's Christian, it's that it's bad. It's not well written, it's not well acted, it's not well produced, it's insulting for critical thought, and I like a lot of bad movies. Stop it. Let me know if you guys watch Jerusalem Countdown, if that's something that's popped up on your radar at some point. That is gonna do it for today's video. Thank you again for helping me get to this. That's amazing. I cried like a baby on stream when it came in. I'm very proud. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Thank you as always to my Patreon supporters. If you're new, feel free to subscribe. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and we'll catch you all later.